Hello, glorious people. How you been? Hope you've been doing pretty good. Ever so often do I play the role of the devil's advocate by deliberately showing you things that many have been misguided on, that has led people's lives to be destroyed, people to lose money, people to lose time, people to lose property. That stuff just bites me on the inside when I see that option exists for people to do things properly and not lose what they already have on top of losing what someone else is stacking on top of them. The reason why I show certain things that might seem to some people as probably opposing what they think they stand on is that the tortfeasors are getting more comfortable the more they violate the everyday man comfortably. So I show these things to the everyday man to let you know, yeah, you have the right to do these things, but your manner of doing it and your competence of it is incomplete. Therefore, I often show where people's pattern of things are incomplete first. And some who might have a not so average emotional intelligence might become upset at that, therefore limiting themselves and remaining as they are. All these religious books tell you, well, you don't want to accept knowledge, which people perish for, then remain as you are and perish as you are. But then there are other pockets of people who realize the importance of things and take those clarity that's been made as to the route that a skull and a bone has been shown to you. Hey, don't do this, don't do that. So given that I've ever so often played the devil's advocate and shown you this is not what you want to do, this is not what you want to do, on the corresponding end, many clarity are shown as to the right path to take. Right to travel. You've heard of this, haven't you? Yeah, we all have. Do you know how, as amazing as it is, most people who would speak of right to travel, not once can they ever point to you in a state legislature or the quote judge-made law, aka res judicata, which is part of what is commonly known as common law in modern times. That is, if you're not looking at the foundational maxims. Most of those people who speak of right to travel don't know why or how. And even if you point to them that, look, it's an Article of Confederation, you realize quickly that that's their first time realizing it's in there. Just for the sake of time, here it is in Article 4 of Articles of Confederation. Article 4. The better to secure and perpetuate mutual friendship and intercourse amongst the people of the different states in this union, the free inhabitants of each of these states, paupers, vagabond, and fugitive, from justice accepted, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of the free citizens in the several states. And here's the clause right here when it comes to right to travel. And the people of each state shall have free ingress and regress to and from any other states. Here's the good old Black's Law that everyone loves. All these lovers of Black's Law, but fail to look at the basic term and basic substance of law when it comes to the basic substantive right they say they have. Here it is. That same term ingress and regress, let's look at what it says in the same Black Law. Ingress means access, entrance, means of entry, a going in, entry, a right to enter. Now let's look at regress. Regress, a returning. Ingress means you've entered, you've gone, and you have the ability to pass. Regress means a returning, a going back, a re-entry, a privilege of re-entry or return. Privilege is something that's subject to other things. Therefore, the right to ingress and regress, which in today's word people refer to right to travel, is subject to things like res judicatas. Res judicatas are simply interpretation of man-made law. So we have no choice then but to not limit the right to travel So this thing called article association, regress, and ingress. But before we go to that man-made law which interprets regress and ingress, which are privileges that are subject to interpretation and greater scrutiny than even rights are, let's go to an official publication, which in many videos we've shown the rules of evidence when it comes to the validity of official publications. And even if it's not an official publication, here it is from the horse's mouth, the good old lawyer that everyone either just hates or everyone are just either completely ignorant of their role in society towards you, the everyday man. They say, we are here to help your Missouri lawyers. All right, awesome. What do they have to say about this thing called Magna Carta? Those who speak of right to travel, do you know that was affirmed by Magna Carta also, which is prior to the Articles of Confederation? You want to go back to the Article of Confederation dealing with people saying they don't want to be enslaved to some people in another part of the world who are blood relatives to others who they're running to here in the Americas. Not here to give you rhetoric of who was here first and who was good, who was bad, and who was once a slave and who wasn't. Those are important too. But you can know all those all you want. But if you don't know your rights, you will still get your ass kicked by the lowest slave that exists on earth. Start by knowing your rights here and now before you start to worry about whether you're bigger than someone or not. Because to know what your rights are is equivalent to know what position you play in society as it relates to certain things. And that's what we're going over here. As I always say, be realistic with yourself. So Magna Carta, when it comes to right to travel, what does it say? 800 years of Magna Carta. These same lawyer associations list some of the substance within said Magna Carta. History of Magna Carta. Right to travel. Magna Carta provides for a basic right of free men. Now they're giving you a qualifying term that you first have to be free. Remember, Article of Confederation gave you a list of people subject to extraditions and then went to the people. It mentioned people subject to extraditions as exceptions. Then it went to the people. Go back, listen to it. We just read it. The people are this thing called free men. Qualifying factor that one must pay attention to. Magna Carta provides for a basic right of free men to travel in and out of the kingdoms. Kingdoms in what you would loosely now know as counties. Remember the video done on counts and county, where counties are properties of counts and counts are titles of nobilities? The ones who own kingdoms and overseas kingdoms are lineages of people who are next in line to the throne, such as counts. They're given kingdoms to oversee. A distribution of power, a delegation of authority. You see what's going on? Do you see now when you do that injunction when it comes to being left alone or quote right to travel in your vehicle? Do you see why you send it per county? Because those are the kingdoms. But let's not deviate too far, eh? Magna Carta provides for a basic right of free men to travel in and out of the kingdom. In 1958, a case, Kent versus Dills in the U.S. Supreme Court, cited Magna Carta to demonstrate the ancient roots of the right to travel freely. See how we're going to the substantive laws, and then we're now gradually going into the interpretation of them, because it's necessary and important. The court went on to find, quote, the right to travel, this exact verbiage, is a part of the liberty of which a citizen cannot be deprived without the due process of law of the Fifth Amendment. In other words, that thing called right to travel is embedded into your security of due process for Fifth Amendment. Fifth Amendment is the evolved version of Article 4 of Article of Association. The Fifth Amendment of the 1791 Constitution is the evolved version of the right to travel affirmed in Magna Carta mentioned in this case law. Now let's look at some more case laws, because many people will tell you about rights this, right that. And ever so often in social media, you will find people just throw random words and then cite case laws. And then when you take that exact verbiage of that random word and you go to the court order and the court docket and you look at it live or you use any other websites like Justia or whatever people use on the internet, which I'll be showing for the sake of familiarity. Because if you're trying to tell someone something, you have to go to a level they're readily available in the mind, so that you could easily enter and show them the information that fits their own sense of bias or information that they're readily accustomed to. If you were to take some of those case laws that people randomly cite on the internet, on Facebook, social media, and you type in those exact verbiage, you would not find it. People are mixing and matching things and creating speculation and conclusory things and then attaching case laws to it. When you read that case law, you realize it speaks of the complete opposite of what people are saying. So now let's set the record straight and actually show you case laws that deal directly with right to travel. Williams versus Fears, 179 U.S. 270, year 1900. And this case has yet to be overturned. On Patreon, we show the list of websites you use to figure out whether case laws have been overturned or not. We're not going to show that here on YouTube. If you know it, good. If you don't, let these basic videos suffice. Because it is extremely important, if you're looking at case laws from any given year, always know whether it's been overturned or not. As mentioned in one video, for every 50 case laws that you're citing, there are at least 500 that contradict it, either directly by overturning it or indirectly by saying the complete opposite. Williams versus Fears, 179 U.S. 270, year 1900, which has not been overturned. United States Supreme Court, which is the true judicial power holders on the United States level based on Article 3 of the United States Constitution. Case number 287. Argued October 29, 1900. Undoubtedly, the right of locomotion, which is the same as ingress and regress. So when you look at this term locomotion, you see the prefix loco and the suffix motion. I presume we all know what motion means, and I presume we all have the basic knowledge that loco has to do with location, your ability to move about. If not, don't worry, here it is. Loco, word forming element meaning from place to place. From combining form of Latin locus, aka a place, quote unquote. From place to place is what loco means. Motion is the act of something kinetic. You are putting it into motion. You are bringing it to life. You are going from place to place, aka ingress and regress, aka traveling about. All right. Undoubtedly, the right of locomotion, aka ingress, regress, aka right to travel. The right to remove from one place to another. They even use regular layman term in case it's not clear. You can't say these people are not telling you. According to inclination, meaning according to how you feel. Liberty, right? Liberty is the freedom from permission. Is an attribute of personal liberty. Ah, there we go. They even repeat it with another word. So it's clear. And the right, ordinarily, meaning is applied to the everyday man. You're just going about minding your business, casually doing your thing. No one bothering you, just being left alone in pursuit of happiness. Of free transit from or through the territory of any state is a right secured by the 14th Amendment and by other provisions of the Constitution. See where they throw 14th Amendment in to say, hey, we're not going to leave out that thing we created for our own benefit based on the corporation doctrine. And then right after that, we'll put towards the end, as always, as they always do, they put towards the end what really applies to you. It is a right secured by other provisions of the Constitution. See, the reason why I read the history of Magna Carta as it relates to Fifth Amendment before I read this, so that you're clear as to the origin, because Fifth Amendment predates 14th Amendment. Fifth Amendment being part of the Bill of Rights, 14th Amendment being a similitude version of it based on a corporation. And there you have right to travel. That's the first res judicata. Second res judicata, Science versus Roe. Docket number 98-97. United States Courts of Appeal for the Ninth Circuit. This specific one uses the exact verbiage, right to travel. In a 7-2 decision, the court held that 14th Amendment, remember, we've read the premise and foundation as to the applicability when it comes to the Bill of Rights compared to 14th Amendment. But either way you look at it, from the incorporated version or not, it still applies. So don't get carried away when they constantly mention the 14th Amendment. because what applies in an incorporated version is just a replication of the real thing, which is the Bill of Rights. The court held that the 14th Amendment protects the right to travel in three ways: by allowing citizens to move freely between states, securing the right to be treated equally in all states when visiting, and securing the right of new citizens to be treated like longtime citizens of a state. To take it just one step further with regarding this same case law, Sines versus Roe, case number 98-97, listen to this. Item 3. The word, quote, travel is not found in the text of the Constitution. Yet, the quote, constitutional right to travel from one state to another, unquote, is firmly embedded in our jurisprudence. They make reference to exactly where their citation and the verbiage come from, which is United States versus Guest, the year 1966. The right is so important, the right to travel, that it is, quote, assertable against private interference, as well as governmental action, public and private. And virtually public and private, you have the right to travel publicly, and you have the right to travel privately. So they cannot now say, oh, you don't have the private right of action to do this, right? They always do that, don't they? Another video related to private right of action has been done. So you don't even have to worry about that scrutiny, because this specific Fifth Amendment right to travel based on due process is both a public and private one, because people travel from one place to the other and interface inevitably with others, and people can nonetheless travel from one place to the other without necessarily involving other human interaction. No different than the issue of saying, hey, get an insurance. The principle behind, hey, get an insurance for your vehicle is, well, you travel amongst everyday men, and if you damage them, show us a proof that you will hold the state of so-and-so harmless against injury, because that vehicle you're carrying around has their tags on it, state of so-and-so. And I say it's the state of so-and-so being indemnified by the insurance, because insurance and bond works differently. They're both indemnification, but who it applies to are two different things that we speak on Patreon in about 2 or 3 different videos. But on YouTube, here is the right to travel. You just take that. All right? A virtually unconditional personal right guaranteed by the Constitution to us all. So there you go. Those who speak of right to travel, there you go. In case you're not sure where it applies to, why or how, or the details, or what you can even use slightly to support yourself when it comes to the principles. Not saying go cite a bunch of case laws now, but know the origin of it and how the origin has been interpreted. There goes a helping hand. Until next time, take care. Best of luck. I have a Patreon page, and I'm inviting you to come join. Whether you're interested in discharge, we show everything about how it's done and my own experience. Consistent posts are made explaining many things regarding said discharge. Many will seek and simply wouldn't find. Those dealing with mortgage issue or want to know more about it, we speak of it. For those dealing with basic stuff like traffic issues, we speak about the solution, and I show it from my own experiences and how I permanently prevent any such issues. Those worrying about trust, different types of trust, we go over so many things consistently. Regarding trust, we show the IRS manuals. Those who are interested in suing and making money through debt collection or other means, we go over it, we show it. I show my own settlement checks and the things that I've done as a personal experience. Those interested in banking, we show subtle details and intricacies of the things that I have learned. For those interested in other things like the IRS forms and how to put it to use, we show it, explain the details. For those interested in court-related matters and intricacies, we always show it. For those interested in the spiritual aspect of things and how it works, we show and explain it. Those with child support matters, we explain and we show everything in detail also. Great puzzle pieces that can never be found in other social media platforms, but we explain it all as it relates to many different things. For those interested in express trust and the issue of how not qualifying for taxation, which I call dinking, how it relates to any other type of trust or any other affairs, and how you can intertwine your affairs into the different types of discharge that exist and lack of qualification for taxation. Speak about it. The truth about really recusing attorneys and the whole foreign agent registration and attorney lawyer number. We speak about it. Speak about how to really bring about juries, and some of the comment section asks good questions and where the answers are given. Speak about how to get and use tax exemptions for vehicle use and sales. You don't have to belong to some organization. You can actually get yours according to the language of the legislature within your state. Go over the details that a lot of people banter about regarding Article 1, Article 3. What really makes a court? It's not limited to just your paperwork. Most people don't know. We go over business matters for those with actual businesses, S Corp, C Corp, LLCs, those who are business minded and those who make monies. Go over other things that a lot of people don't know, functions internationally. We speak about a lot of other spiritual related matters. Details on how to bring criminal charges, what it truly means to bring criminal charges, what a bill of particular is, how to recuse a judge, details of the parliamentary rules in court and legislature, different things about standard of evidence and burden of proof, different things that a lot of people will speak of. Discovery. But did you know there are 6 types of discoveries? You know how to intertwine your LLCs and S Corps with an express trust, how to not make them taxable. Do you know when Trinity versus Pagliaro really is involved? Do you know how to use your home as a home office? And the many details involved. Go over the injunction and how to enforce the different types of injunctions that exist. The intricacies of how data brokers exist and how they steal information. Not just the credit bureaus, but many data brokers, and how you can prevent them. We go over grants, getting grants. We go over issues and solutions of CPN and how they're created. There are about 6 or 4 to 5 different parts that were created. We go over caveats where people say sue them, but they don't really know. We go over the things to do after you sue them. We go over the issues of privacy and technology. The whole thing about perfection of security interest, UCC, and how to use it and how to monetize the birth certificate, all that. We go over the details. There are a lot of principles and doctrines people don't know about that we go over. Go over how to really do the copyright and the details involved in it. We go over how to simply do a trademark. It's far more easier than you think. All these people telling you go to a trademark office, do this, write this letter. It's not that difficult. Go over how to fill out the GSA bond box at a time, and so many more. How to get settlement checks, how to put your vehicle in a trust. I show you from my own experiences, form for form, step by step. Go over the different types of relief to be granted. The type of relief you seek invokes the type of jurisdiction that you fall under. All these people speaking about chancery, equity, at law, common law. The relief that you seek is directly tied to the type of jurisdiction. Go over the CPN, how it's created. Go over how to obtain bonds, where to do it. Go over the different types of discharge and some more. We explain each of those types of discharge. We explain how trademark and copyright is affiliated with asset protection. We go over how to prove trust. We go over the different types of fraud. We go over the importance that many people will never know. So many more. I show my own experiences in the audio calls from court cases of how I get different types of settlement checks. Go over the different types of discharge. There's so much more that it can't even completely be spoken of here regarding trust. We go over how to create it step by step, and many more things that will never be shown on YouTube or any other platforms. Go over other principles that people don't know about. When they speak about statute of limitation, well, fraud does have a statute of limitation, but do you know how to subvert it? As to why that phrase fraud has no statute of limitation to bring it to life, most people don't know. There's so many things that we speak about. We speak about how to garnish people's checks and people's property. There's a form that you use for that. People don't know about it. Speak about details regarding foreign trustees. Speak about spiritual related matters. And on the Instagram page, if you get to join, come on over. There's also a Facebook page where questions and answers are posted, and Other reminder links to certain videos are shown. Until next time, take care. Best of luck.